Muy buena, bienvenidos a Canadá, bienvenidos a The Other Worlds. Un momentito que estoy con el directo, a ver lo que... Vale. Está la pinta que tengo yo, ¿sabes? Vale. Twitch va regulero, Pío, pío. Pío, pío. Vale, pues aquí tenemos a Eli y Félix.
Good to see you, boss.
Need something?
Something on your mind?
Venga. Estamos en Bahía... ¿Cómo era? Bahía Estelar. Hemos llegado, deberíamos haber llegado ya. ¿Podemos mirar un poquito? Ah, sí. Radio Monarca Libre. Radio Monarca Libre. ¿Qué teníamos? ¿Qué pasa aquí? ¡Oh, hostia! Han subido de rango. Félix. Vamos a ver. Estoy poniendo un poquito de todo. Hostia, ¿esto qué es? Coño. Vale. Hostia, tiene 3. Lo que pasa es que este me da más miedo que un nublado. Porque, tiene pinta de ser un matón de mucho cuidado. Quiero probar esta. El arma que encontramos los planos de Force. Y luego había otra. Martillo. Este. Pero este, no sé, este igual se lo dejo a alguno de los compañeros. No sé, ya veremos. Yo es que cuerpo a cuerpo. Vale, ¿cuántos puedo? Solo puedo dos, ¿no? Vale, tengo a Félix. No, quiero a Félix y a Eli. Y nos queda un compañero solo, ¿eh? Serían 6 en total. Espera. Me voy a descargar. Que me parece que llevo 207 kilos, ¿sabes? Así, a bote pronto. Mierda, no le he dado el tabulador, coño. Llevo 207 kilos. Claro, es que llevo mierda para un tren. Llevo mierda para un tren, compañero. Name. Venga, vamos a empezar. Me suelo quedar con una de cada, si es buena, claro. ¿Este qué es? Cañón de descarga. Esta no me gusta, tío. Fuera. Fuera toda ella. 62. Esta tiene... ¿Qué tiene esta? Esta tiene una habilidad, ¿no? Puesta, pero no sé cuál es. No sé qué habilidad es. La voy a dejar, pues. No me suelo andar con los la suelo vender, ¿eh? Esta está para reparar y la otra tiene la habilidad, así que blanco y botella. ¿Qué más? De estos tengo 3. Vale. 177. Bueno, eso está mucho mejor. Tengo... Cargo plasma. Esta es explosiva y esta es... Son las mismas, pero esta tiene explosivo y esta tiene plasma. A mí, yo sinceramente me gusta más la de plasma. Arma pesada, 110, ¿eh? Lanzaplasma, esta también es... Estas son muy parecidas. Lo que pasa es que la que yo llevo es mejor. Es un poquito mejor. Daño hace de 120 a 480, depende de dónde le des. De 120 a 480. Y si la cargas, le haces la carga y luego sueltas. Esta está muy bien. Índice de daño. Mira, disparo por segundo, chaval. Fusil de asalto. Pero no está bien esto. Bueno, sí, bueno, sí que está bien, sí. Sí que está bien, pero... Claro, son disparos por segundo. 576 por 58 de daño. Está bien, porque esto tiene una cadencia de disparo brutal. La escopeta es más lenta, pero también es muy rápida, ¿eh? De hecho, es más rápida que incluso estas 3 armas. Esta para ser pistola, 220. Mira, tengo esta de 660, ¿vale? Y hace 44 por 6. 254 de daño, que no está nada mal. Pero es plasma. Corrosión. Plasma es este. Esta me parece que me va a gustar, Venga, vamos para allá. Me puse lo de... Sí, tercer objeto. Estos son para curarte, ¿vale? La jeringuilla, que yo creo que es obligatorio. La jeringuilla yo creo... No sé si tal vez se podrá esta en vez de esta. ¿Ves? Aquí no me deja. No. No me deja. La jeringuilla es obligatoria, yo creo. Esta también podría. Adrena. Esta cura 25. No, no me deja. No me deja. Cura 25% de salud. Esa tiene que ser o sí o sí. Adrena, ya lo pone aquí. Adrena, solo te deja adrena. Luego, pum, pum, pum. Hasta 3 objetos para mejorar la base, que sería esta. Esta de base sería 25% de salud durante 2 segundos. Pero estas las amplifica. Amplifica la curación.
Stay safe out there.
March. Un arca. Como pez en el agua, has llegado a Bahía Estelar. Vale. Hostia. Qué cacho fábrica, ¿no, tú? Me está volando el juego mucho. Mucho. Bueno, ¿qué pasa aquí? A ver. Esto es robar, así que robar nada, 0. ¿Usar el qué? Ya me están esperando, ¿no?
Hey, hold on there. I gotta sign you in. Don't think I've seen you around. That means you must be new to Stellar Bay. You are new here, right? I knew it. See, I made what you call a logical
Sí,
deduction.
está claro.
You must have seen those UDL gunships on your way in. There's only 3 of them these days. Still, they tend to scare folk off. You may not have heard, you being new, but Stellar Bay hardly ever gets off-road traffic. Us being cut off by the board and all. Which means I never get to do this part, but I've been practicing, so here goes. On behalf of Monarch Stellar Industries, welcome to Stellar Bay, home of the freshest sal tuna in Halcyon. Please state your name for the records. Swell. There's one for the logs. I'm even gonna give you your own entry code. I'm not supposed to do that. It's against procedure, but Mr. Sanjar isn't so strict about the rules here. Besides, I got a lot of empty entries to fill. We don't ship traffic in town. Only off-worlders who do make it out here are sublight. They got a base in Fallbrook. And thank the stars for them, or we would have run out of Rizzo's Purple Berry Crunch years ago. Oh, that'll just make Mr. Sanjar's day if you tell him. The board makes up lots of nasty stories about raptidons and cannibals and whatnot. But that's all outside our walls. Mostly.
Did he just say raptidons and cannibals? I can't wait.
Oh, sure. It makes Stellar Bay sound like a rotten place, but it's not so bad. Get a good breeze going, and the sulfur smell mostly covers up the fishy smell. Anyway, Mr. Sanjar's got lots to say on that subject. Kinda goes over my head, though. Mr. Sanjar will be mighty pleased to meet you. If you see him over at headquarters, maybe you could tell him I did a bang-up job of welcoming you?
Has hecho un trabajo Bahía
Headed that way,
Estelar.
maybe you could do me a favor. I got this Rizzo's Rangers tossball poster coming in on the next sublight shipment, signed by the Black Hole himself. Only I haven't heard anything in a while. You think you could check with Celia to see if it's come in?
Boss, come on. Black Hole Birdie, the Holmeister, the Hack Attack.
That's Bertie Holcomb, only one of the greatest tossball hackers ever. Everyone's heard of him, even on Monarch. We still get some of the games. You been living in a sulfur pit or something? On account of him being the best hacker who ever played, nothing gets by him. He sucks up every ball that comes his way. Whatever you say, I could talk tossball for hours. I couldn't really say I'm just a fan of the game. But the fancy collector types say the more people see these things, thanks a bunch. Celia works for Mr. Sanjar in the MSI building next to the bar. She's always there, so you can't miss her.
Muy bien, chavalote. Vamos a ver qué hay por aquí. Está bloqueada esta calle. Esta no me suena. Es todo como muy morado, rosa, ¿no? Adrena, ¿cuántas tengo yo de adrena? Tengo 40. Yo creo que tengo bien, ¿no? No sé. 50 pavos cada una. Sí, vamos a vender esto. Uf, no me las he... Mira que he mirado, me cago en todo. No me las he dejado en casa. A tomar por culo, la voy a vender. ¡Hala! Otro día ya mirarás mejor. Toma por culo. La bebida fuera. Toma por culo bebida. Solo voy a coger salud, que no lo voy a usar tampoco. Bueno. Fuera. Salud. 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 Fuera. Esto no sé si es... Dura un minuto, nada, esto nada. Yo quiero permanente, permanente sí, pero que dure... Nada, fuera. Espera, espera. Nada, fuera. Nada. Daño crítico. Nada, fuera. Bueno. Blindaje de armadura. Bueno. ¿Qué limpieza voy a hacer? Fuera. Hombre, eso para algún bicho tocho sí que me habría venido bien. Fuera. Esto fuera. 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 Armadura más 10, fuera. Salud inicial. Velocidad de movimiento. Fuera. Espera. Nada, fuera. No me interesa. Fuera. Todo. Aunque ese de inmunidad. Fuera. Ese de inmunidad. Salud. Del tiempo, fuera. Salud. Blindaje de armadura, fuera. Armas a distancia, pim pam pum, fuera. Daño crítico, pum pum pum, fuera. Bebida, vitales, fuera. 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 Salud. Salud. Fuera. Salud. Salud. Fuera. Salud. 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 Vale, ya está. Muy buena limpieza. Creo que he perdido bastante pasta. Pero bueno, no me preocupa. Hostia, qué guadaña, ¿eh? Tengo yo una como esa. Vale. Quiere Ryoka. Vale, Ryoka, ¿qué era? Vale, vamos a ponernos en situación. Se puso en contacto con el traficante de Ryoka, una cazadora muy conocida en Barranca. Suele estar en el barco náutico de Bahía Estelar, así que buscar ahí. La traficante de productos químicos que necesita mirar. El problema es que no ha enviado de hecho y tampoco a la vieja monarca es muy raro que consigue los datos.
What are the chances of all the times and places we could have been born?
Yeah.
We're here, light years from Earth, going about our lives.
Every time the punch clock peals, a worker earns his meals.
What are you talking about?
Sorry, I thought you were quoting It's a Wonderful Directorate.
And the little bastard's slippery, right? On account of its blood, so it's sliding all over the place, trying to crawl away. Getting so I can't tell the blood from the mud. But I gotta get in there, get right in that baby rap's stomach and dig it out. If so much as a drop of stomach acid got on that medallion, shit, I don't know what I'd do. Might be I'd hunt every damn rapt out there. Right. What are you staring? Wait. You ain't from around here. Who are you? If you think this is drunk, I gotta... you need to get out more. Sit. Partake. Buy me a drink and let's chat. Outstanding! What are you doing in Stellar Bay, stranger? Well. Let's get down to brass nuts then, shall we? Wait, that ain't it. Brass rats? Let's talk business. I'm headed back out there after I sober up. You want a guide sooner than that? You have to get me something to clear my head. Outstanding! Our dispensary here maintains a stock of, well, I don't rightly know what they are. Steroid or caffeine somethings? Pills. They're very good. I'm cut off for the month, on account of needing one just about every damn day. But I'm sure you've got your wily ways. Fetch me one and we'll be all set. Well, they work. We got a deal or what?
Rap musk and canid eyes, right here. Hello, stranger. Can I interest you in raptidon tongue? Or maybe some canid toenails? You look like a man who's looking for some mostly fresh animal parts? I don't know. Celia usually buys whatever I have, and Mr. Pickett seemed real interested. So I thought maybe I was onto something. She works for Sanjar at MSI. She's also Stellar Bay's biggest collector of canid incisors. And I should know, because she buys them from me. He came to Stellar Bay years ago, just before the board cut us off. Ended up stuck here. He was always real interested in our monsters. Mantiqueens, especially. Who wouldn't be? Now that just sounds like a fancy way to say boring people. Sure, they're real big. Hard to miss them. Like what? Oh, good. Celia hasn't come by in a few days, so I haven't sold much.
¿Qué coño quiero esto? Esto sirve para escudo, ¿no? Esto sirve para la salud.
please. Oh, thank you for stopping. Everyone acts like nothing's wrong, like my little boy isn't at risk of being eaten by some vile creature. Please, you have to help me get my little Tucker back. He ran away and is going to get himself killed. Oh, I just know a Raptidon is melting him with acid as we speak.
It's more dissolving than melting.
That is not helpful. Don't you tell me to calm down. I promised my boy I'd protect him for always. But how can I keep him safe if he's run away? He ran out into the wilderness a few days ago. I warned him about the Raptidons, Mantisaurs, and Marauders, the toxic sulfur pools, and poisonous plants, but he didn't listen. Please, won't you go and find my boy? He's been pining for an adventure, says he's tired of living cooped up behind the walls. But he doesn't understand how dangerous it is out there. I warned him. A Raptidon would snap him up first chance it got. I just know one's ripped his arm off and is gnawing on his sweet little fingers. He should have listened to his mama. I promised Well, I guess I can't ask you to leave the town walls for free. It is deathly dangerous out there. I've got some bits saved up for a rainy day. I'll give you every last one if you just bring my Tucker back to me. I won't even be mad at him running off. He's been listening to those awful broadcasts that the iconoclasts put out. I begged Sanjar to put a stop to them, but did he? No! And now I just know my boys run off to Amber Heights. That is, if a Manta Queen hasn't spooled out and eaten that old settlement, southwest of Stellar Bay. I don't know which is worse, the thought of my son shacking up with them nutty iconoclasts, or that he never made it. Sprats could be nesting in his rotting body alongside the road as we speak. Or maybe Marauders got him, pulled all his teeth out, crushed him into their drugs and made him snort them. Oh, the things that could happen to my sweet baby. Those low-life degenerates, leading innocent boys into a life of danger. Oh, they make it sound so exciting. Like it's noble to risk it all out there, fighting for the greater good.
Not sure I'm seeing the problem here.
You're one of them, aren't you? You should be ashamed of yourself, young man. Just as your mama would be. How noble is it to worry your loved ones? Not at all, I say. But still they preach their sermons of anarchy and rebellion to anyone who'll listen. If they weren't holed up in Amber Heights, I'd knock them all upside the head. Thank you. Oh, I know he'll be safe now that someone's able to fetch him home. You look for him in Amber Heights, you hear? It's down the road southwest of town. I'm sure he made it that far. I just know it. And if you find any of them iconoclasts indoctrinating my boy, you punch them in the mouths. Tell them what I think of them luring little boys away from their mamas. It's immoral.
Vaya tinglao. Vale. Vamos a seguir viendo por aquí cositas. A ver si vamos consiguiendo... A ver si vamos consiguiendo misiones.
Well, well. The only new folk I ever see in town are sublight runners from Fallbrook. But you don't look like one of Catherine's. What can I get you? If you don't see it, I don't got it. Don't go asking for the special reserve.
$44. El otro las vendía por 50. Claro, aquí tenemos un 11% de descuento. Hostia, qué trajes. A mí me paga 16 por este casco, tío. Y ella los está vendiendo por 3000. Hasta luego. Oye, podía mejorar... No, no. De momento no me interesa. Cuando me revienten y no haga una manera, entonces sí. De momento...
Help! Someone's been killed!
I think I'm gonna be sick. I clean the apartments while everyone's at work. I've seen all sorts of messes, but this... If you're going into the apartments, do not go into the lower one on the right. That's where the body is. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go contemplate a hot shower.
No.
The body's in the first apartment on the right.
Abajo a la derecha, dicho, ¿no? ¡Arriba las manos! De abajo a la derecha. Ese es el de abajo a la izquierda, lógicamente. Es aquí, ¿vale?
Murder? Hey, is this the part where we go hunting for clues?
Not much I can do for this guy.
Para aquí. No voy a robar nada, ¿vale?
Whatever you do, don't mention tossball.
Esto es un baño de lujo, ¿eh? Cacho baño. Tiene hasta luz y todo.
You startled me. Don't sneak up on a person like that, huh? You again! You've really...
Está en mantenimiento, ¿no?
Staying long? Carry on.
Guadaña infernal. Bah, me voy a forzar para no poder robar nada. Voy a gastar 2 cacharros para nada. No me interesa.
Got any news from the rest of Halcyon?
So, you're really running around with us now, huh?
Espera, he venido de allá, ¿no? ¿Ya ha dado toda la vuelta?
I'm a part of the crew now. Got my own bunk and everything.
You know, Felix, now that you're a real pirate, I should induct you into the Pirate's Code of Silence.
Ooh, the Code of Silence. What's that?
It means you agree not to talk for a very long time.
La bañera, sí. No sé, la pared del aire, no sé, oxígeno, no sé qué es. Vale. Voy a echar un vistazo primero a todo el pueblo. A ver si veo algo que me llame la atención. ¿Y aquí a dónde vamos? Supuestamente. Aquí no me debería haber nadie, ¿no? Pero es que esto no merece la pena ni robarlo, tío. No merece la pena ni robarlo, tío. Si fuera algo, alguna llave o algo, pues sí, pero eso. ¿Dónde estaba la otra escalera? Coño, casi lo subo, tío. Bastante torpe para saltar. Bastante torpe. Vale. ¿Esta puerta? Yo esto, sinceramente, tenerlo aquí me parece un peligro de la hostia. No me interesa. Alguna llave sí, pero eso no merece la pena. Vale, vamos a ver, ¿esto qué es? Nell.
Ooh, you're the new face. Wow, you must be up on all the latest Tossball games.
Sí, no, ninguno.
So who do you follow? Wait, don't tell me. You look like a Hammersmith Thunder fan. No, Glacial Age Mammoths. That's a shame. Tossball's just about the only good news we get around here. When our frequency's not too clogged up anyway.
You get to listen to games all day? Stellar Bay really is a paradise.
It's pretty swell, but it's a whole lot better with company. Say, I don't think I've seen you before, and I'd remember that face.
I'll try not to be a stranger then. Name's Felix, by the way.
Sorry about that. Was there, something I could do for you? Isaac. I was wondering why I hadn't seen him in a few days. I'd really like to help. Isaac was a sweet fellow, even if he did have terrible teeth. I don't know for sure, but I saw Elijah and his buddies pushing Isaac around. They're hooligans from Fallbrook. They sweep into town, drop supplies off behind the warehouse, and spend the rest of their stay getting rowdy over tossball games. They usually loiter in the alley behind the yacht club. They're not allowed in the bar anymore. I bet you anything Isaac ran into trouble with one of them. Mr. Sanjar will be pleased to hear about it when you're done. I know he gets fed up with the Fallbrook bullies, but there's not much he can do. Hey there, Felix. What can I do for you? Graham's always filling the airwaves with his propaganda, like it's done him any good. All it means is the tossball games get to us in fragments. Makes them real hard to watch.
Hola, feliz. Y luego me habla a mí, ¿sabes?
You don't look like Sublight. We don't get many outsiders.
Vale, y aquí hay una puerta. Pirateo 55. ¿Cuánto tengo yo, tío? No, yo 55 no tengo, pero... ¿Tengo alguna que me dé pirateo? Quemadura. No.
If Velma's capable of running the warehouse, she can certainly pick up her own caffeinoid.
Don't be so hard on her. With Brack's missing, she's working doubles and needs a little edge.
Very well, dearie. But you stop by anytime you like, hmm?
Thanks, I'll keep that in mind.
Hello, dearie. Why, I don't believe I've seen you before. And with sweet cheeks like those, I'd remember.
Quite the bedside manner, lady.
Well, it's so rare I get the pleasure of new company. What can Auntie Abigail do for you? And what a helpful young man you are. Nothing like a little pill to liven up the spirits.
Whiskey helps, too.
Please leave medical advice to the professionals. Now, dearie, who's this pickup for? I'm so sorry, but with the iconoclasts and the marauder filth chasing away what little trade we get, I'm afraid I have to reserve my supply for Stellar Bay residents. Our reserves have gotten so low, I've even had to start locking the supply room upstairs. Isn't it a shame what some people will do to get a little extra? Aren't you a naughty boy? There are no discounts here, but Auntie knows what to do with mischievous men like you. Oh, I'd have to talk to Mr. Nandi about you, of course. Anyway, is there anyone else needing a pickup from Auntie Abigail?
Don't blame me if I puke on your shoes.
Aren't you a saucy thing? I may not be a fresh young thing anymore, but with age comes experience, dearie. Maybe some other time then, when Auntie's personal allotment of stimulation is restored. But I'd hate to send you away empty-handed. You were here for Caffeinoid, weren't you? Who's... Now, there's no keeping secrets from Auntie Abigail. I'll tease it out of you, one way or another. Also, I really do have to enter someone's name for the allotment. After all, I have to keep track of where our little pills wander off to. Well, I suppose I could use the money to supply our little clinic for the rest of the town. Very well. I'll make an exception for you this one time. But let's keep this between us, dearie.
Joder, me ha salido cara la mierda esta.
Velma seem out of sorts to you?
She's always cranky.
No, I mean more than you.
Wouldn't know. I made it a point to stay.
If you want to talk to the boss, she's in the back of the warehouse.
Look, you can tell Catherine the new shipment will be ready when it's ready, all right? She's welcome to come up here and pack boxes herself if she's in such a hurry. Did she now? Well, I can see I was mistaken. Because if Catherine really had sent you, there'd be a lot more expletives in your message. I hope you can forgive my temper. This job has been running me ragged lately. First, my autoloader foreman stages a walkout, and now my chief pescatological health manager is missing. Braxton. He's in charge of getting the fish fat, but also making sure they don't get too many tumors. He's a real wizard with pharmaceuticals, but he has creative notions of working hours. Comes with living in a free colony, I guess. I would if I weren't busy here picking up his slack. Since you don't seem to be constrained yourself, maybe you could check up on him. He lives in the apartments. Tell him Velma said to get his lazy ass down here, or she might start noticing those extra jugs he's been taking from supply. Something else on your mind? Caleb Herrick runs the autoloader operators. He thinks I don't pay them enough for flipping switches and turning dials. He and his whole crew walked out. Say they won't come back unless I pay them more. Because we've got a budget, all right? And in case you haven't noticed, MSI doesn't exactly have a lot of spare bits on hand. You mind slapping him around a little while you're at it? I'm joking. Mostly. Unless you can do it without hurting his job performance. If you can find a way to get him back to work, I'll make it worth your while. Check the yacht club. He's usually there. Unless you're here to tell me he's agreed to do his job again, I've got nothing to say. Hard workers? They turn dials and flip switches. The machines do all the actual work. Caleb and his crew have it better than anyone else around here, I'll tell you that much. I don't have the bits for it, plain and simple. Besides, if I make an exception for him, I gotta do the same for everyone. If Caleb wants to keep this job, he'd better get back to it. I'm about ready to hire sublight contractors at this rate. for running me ragged while he takes an extended leave at the bar? Not on your life. Maybe so, but I bet you Caleb runs out of bits first. Then he'll have to come back. He says he's got a stash to tide his crew over. Could be he's all talk, but if the money's real, I bet you he keeps it at home. Near the diner. Fine by me. Stealing's such a nasty word. Let's call it skimming. And yeah, let's just say I've noticed the sterile biotics we use for the fish would get used a little faster on Braxton shifts. We're not like those corporate towns where you get fined for sleeping on the wrong side of the bed. Besides, the Spacer's Choice stuff we use is cheap enough. And Braxton knows how to get the Saltuna, fat and mostly tumor-free. Sublight boss out of Fallbrook. Handles most goods that come in or out of Stellar Bay. Has a mouth like a Ground 6 Spacer. I'd give you a friendlier welcome, but I'm up to my elbows in salt tuna.
You're probably looking for Velma. Watch out. She's in the room.
Hace falta pirateo, ¿eh? Ya es el segundo ordenador que no puedo mirar. Que no puedo piratear.
Hey, Velma, I got your caffeinoid pills.
You're a... Hope Abigail didn't give you one.
You're probably looking... Wouldn't mind
smelling like salt tuna. Look, I don't... You're probably looking for Velma. Watch out. Look, I don't... Oh, sorry. For a second, I thought you were Grim.
You don't look like Sublight. Must be freelance.
Vale.
We're not the best equipped, but fresh blood at last. Stellar Bay could use some.
Could I get another advance, Mr. Nonby?
Aquí no aceptamos una, ¿eh? No tienen armas, pero sí que tienen balas.
Just make sure it's properly logged.
I'll note it next to the others, sir. Greetings, and welcome to Monarch Stellar Industries, producers and purveyors of the finest salt tuna in Halcyon. What can I do for you today? You know, sending you is the first bright idea I've seen from that man, because I told him to stop bothering me about it a week ago. I still don't know anything about it, but if you want to help him, Velma's the one to ask. She's in the warehouse. But I'll warn you, Grim wore her patience thin a long time ago. Not at all. Mr. Nandi treats us all right and pays us well. I just spent most of my paycheck on Raptidon acid.
Laws, no. Sometimes it's canid teeth, or mantis worm wings. Whatever Sebastian has in stock, really. So I can talk to him, of course. He doesn't get going about much else. Sort of the strong, silent type. Unfortunately, my apartment's kind of filling up with his stuff, and some of the neighbors are complaining about the smell. Would you? I'd appreciate that so much. Maybe don't tell him I wanted you to ask, just that you met this really nice lady named Celia, and she seemed... Oh, Mr. Nandi's doing that thing where he breathes through his nose real... He doesn't talk much, but he's got this quiet intensity, you know? Like there's stuff going on inside his head that you have no idea about. Plus, he's got great legs. It's hard to find a man who doesn't skimp on lower body exercises.
Good to have standards, I guess.
I know what I'm looking for. You think that's what I'm looking for? You're funny. Not in Stellar Bay. Everyone else who isn't taken either smells like salt tuna or they're my boss. Besides, a man with a good smile and a proportionate upper to lower body ratio isn't something to pass up. Sorry, sometimes I get carried away. Have you talked to Sebastian yet? What did he say?
Well, new business turns up at last. Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising model would be a hit?
That you did, sir.
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins?
You've often posed these very questions.
Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me. Celia, will you make a note of that for my self-review? Very generous.
Noted.
But not so generous I can't drive a good bargain. Now, who sent you? Rizzo's, perhaps? Or Auntie Cleo herself? Hiram? Why, he's probably still out at Devil's Peak. Not that he's had the courtesy to notify me, at any rate. But if you're here for him, I suppose that means you aren't here for Saltuna. Now, there's no need to humor me. I'm used to this particular letdown. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but it seems we're back to the drawing board. Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for 10 years now. Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious.
Exactly what I would have said, if I'd been paying attention.
You talk like Graham.
Can't imagine why you'd sneer at the notion of a free colony. Could it be because you're an agent of the establishment?
Not everyone likes the idea of hunting sprats in the back bays, Felix.
Your friend makes a good point, young man. I used to be young and idealistic too, but you can't run a city on high-minded ideals.
Well, Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored to the board.
On our terms, mind you.
Ingenious plan? Don't get me wrong, I'm starting to admire your sand, but I bet you could overcomplicate a sisty sandwich.
What a charmingly roguish turn of phrase. Allow me to express my thanks at your confidence and assure you that my plan is indeed sufficiently complicated.
And if our advertising scheme hasn't borne fruit, then perhaps it's time we took matters into our own hands.
It's a two-pronged approach. The first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended. With a Bolt 52 cartridge, of course. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting the Bolt 52, we'll be able to become one of the most productive and secure cities in Halcyon.
And you'll have a powerful ally on the board.
Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful ordnance.
Never realized fighting the bureaucracy could be this interesting.
It is quite the rush. In the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in, these days it's overrun with marauders and raptidons. Do be careful. I've lost more than a few people to marauders and raptidons out there. Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous information. Perhaps you could delete it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. What can I do for you? I see. And was his delivery of the MSI authorized greeting up to snuff? Well, that's excellent. I'll see that your feedback makes it into his review. What else can I do for you? Then it's good that I keep such meticulous notes. I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws. Not intentionally, though that's technically true. For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2. But back then, it was known as Terra 1. As you may have noticed, this planet has more than its share of hazards. And as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out. Our leadership at the time certainly wanted to. But there were others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the ground up. It's humane, but it's also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms. No, they laughed in our faces and insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2, along with everyone else. Yes, some of us stayed behind, and as the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI.
Must have pissed off some real big suits to get stuck with that.
On the contrary, I wrote lots of very important reports on behalf of top MSI officials before I was able to achieve this position. I moved forward with our planned reforms, as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages. I don't think I realized how far they'd stoop. Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules, and yet they still found reasons to declare us outlaws.
Your first mistake was expecting the board to cut you a fair deal.
I understand the sentiment, but if we can't rely on some sort of framework, then what do we have? I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently. Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in Halcyon.
Yeah, and once you go back to him, they'll own your dignity too.
If you can't beat him, might as well join him and reach into their pockets.
To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community, and being cut off means slow strangulation. I'm not a man to put pride before progress. If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, then that's the path I mean to pursue. Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part will allow us a more equitable relationship.
Don't get ahead of yourself, sir.
Yes, it'll be easier to explain once we have the Bolt 52. My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here, and who knows? Perhaps once we're restored, we could spread them to other corporations. It's a legal provision that gives the board the authority to cordon off any planet or location that it deems dangerous.
Sounds like the board gave themselves the power to arrest an entire planet.
They would say it's for the greater good. Yes, making all of MSI criminals in the board's eyes. Rather hard to run a business that way. He and his followers call themselves the Iconoclasts. Lawless anarchists, all of them. If anyone on Monarch deserves the reputation the board's pinned on us, it's them. It isn't just that they drain our people and resources. Every radical act they commit cements Halcyon's image of us all as destructive rebels and pushes us further from the rest of the colony.
So, what's the downside?
Shall I begin with the supply shortages or the subtle but constant threat of annihilation? He's lucky the board doesn't take him seriously enough to keep more than a few UDL gunships patrolling Monarch.
An Earth Directorate assault cruiser would change his tune. It's almost a shame we haven't seen one around Monarch in a long while.
What can I do for you?
Bueno.
A fine day for business, isn't it? Anyway, what can I do for you?
Have you talked to Sebastian?
MSI keeps the fishery running and the walls intact.
MSI keeps the fishery running and the walls intact.
Vale.
Hey, Ellie, you wanna know what I think? I think they ought to make a serial about our crew. Only, we'd have all these secret messages in every episode, see?
What happened to the Code of Silence, Felix?
Hey, why do you always do that thing with your eyes whenever I talk to you? You on the alert, maybe? Looking out for hidden enemies?
Let's just say you remind me of someone.
I bet they
Tenemos un montonazo de misiones, ¿eh? Solo tengo 3 misiones principales, mira todas las que tengo secundarias. Bueno, estoy haciendo esta realmente. Vamos a hacer esta, tío. A ver si lo hacemos rápidamente. Vamos haciendo misiones. Además este tío está aquí. No tenemos que ir a ningún lado. De momento estoy haciendo todas las misiones de... Todas las misiones del planeta al que voy. Todas.
You look like a man who's looking for some mostly fresh animal parts? Huh. I haven't seen her in a few days, but I've been meaning to ask her how that Raptidon acid is working out. I hope it's working okay, because no one else really seems interested in this stuff. Nice of you to say. I like her too. Wait, I see what's going on. She put you up to this so she could get a discount, hmm?
Mm.
Don't get me wrong. I'd like to give her a discount. She's a real fine lady. Always talks nice and slow, so I understand. But if I give her one, I won't hardly make a bit, on account of no one else having any use for Raptidon tongues. You sound pretty sure. And she is awful nice. Okay, I'll do it. Once her shift ends, we'll go someplace nice. Maybe to Chef Raymond's. You look like a man who's looking...
Have you talked to Sebastian yet? Okay, but how did he say it? Did he sound excited? Or like he was just agreeing to it? Was he like, yay, a date with Celia? I've secretly been waiting for this. Or was it more, sure, I don't have anything else going on? Oh, I will. Now I've just got to figure out which jumpsuit I'm wearing and how I'm fixing my hair. Or maybe I should go with a casual look? Ah, look at me going on. I'm sure you've got other things to do, and Mr. Nandi's giving me that back-to-work look. Anyhow, thank you.
A fine day for business, isn't it? Anyway, what can...
Vale, venga, este ya lo hemos hecho. Esto era una tontería, pero bueno. Esta la tenemos que hacer con el vicario Max. Vale, vamos a hacer esta. Pastelito de esposa, 30 metros. No, a ver, ¿esta dónde está? Vamos a quitarnos misiones de estas tontas y luego ya salimos de la ciudad.
Whoa, by the stars, my poor heart. I just about pissed my jumpsuit. Most people don't.
We're used to folks swooning at our feet. You don't gotta be embarrassed.
A healthy survival reflex is nothing to be embarrassed about. Besides, this place is enough to try anyone's nerves. Where should I begin? With the oversized mantisaurs? Or perhaps the rap spewing acid at our walls? The board was right. This place isn't fit for human habitation, and I was a fool for staying. That was a real popular meal 10, 20 years back, before the board tucked tail and ran. These days, everybody's had a belly full of salt tuna. They all want borscht, and the mushrooms, well, not many venture out of town, what with the monsters hereabouts. I can whip one up for you, but it'll cost. Here's a menu. You got it. I got all the ingredients. Should only take about an hour in the oven. There we are. Now, if you don't mind, I really need to take a leak. I see you stuck around. Sanjar, of course. He had all these glorious ideas about how he'd run Monarch. Rest periods between every work shift. No shift more than 10 hours long. It all sounds wonderful, until you realize there's only a few centimeters of repurposed steel between you and the deadliest creatures in the galaxy.
That's what she said.
There's truly no end to my suffering. Only every day. But in case you haven't noticed, we don't exactly get ships on a regular basis, yours notwithstanding. And even if I did scrape together enough to buy passage out with sublight, which would mean reaching Fallbrook without getting eaten, shot, or dissolved into green goo, what then? Nothing, that's what. Because MSI is not in what you'd call good standing with the board. So even if I could get out of here, no one's gonna hire me. Even talking about it has my blood pressure up. I've really gotta stop. Lucky you. I see you've stuck around. Only every day. But in case you haven't noticed, we don't exactly get ships on a regular basis, yours notwithstanding. And even if I did scrape together enough to buy... Well, thank you for reminding me. As if I weren't already destined for an early grave. Lucky you.
Good day to you.
Vale. Vale, ¿qué más tenemos por aquí? Vale, esta es la otra misión. Esta es la otra misión que está a tomar viento, ¿no? ¡Buah, chaval! Vale, ya la iremos haciendo. Voy a ir hasta allá. Espera, a ver si hay alguna en la ciudad. Es fuera, ¿no? Vale, hay que encontrar la manera de pasar para allá. Por aquí detrás. Vale. Pero si antes está por aquí yo. No, cuidado, cuidado. Es fuera, ¿no? No, por aquí no va a ser, ¿eh?
Okay.
14 metros. Tengo que poder pasar de alguna manera, ¿no? A ver. Uy, que me caigo. No, allí no llego ni de coña, vamos. No. Tengo que poder acceder desde algún lado, Ah, desde la... Desde aquí, leches. Para. Vale, vamos a ver, ¿dónde está la de salida? Joder, con la puta subida esta. ¡Que me caigo! Que no subo, tío. Ah, vale. Uf. Vale, ya sé de dónde es. Desde la fábrica. Había un tío fumando. No, pero aquí no era. No, aquí no era. Quita. Por aquí. Desde aquí. Al fondo. Por ahí, por esa puerta. Quita leches. Por aquí. ¿Cómo paso por aquí? Vale, voy a guardar. A las ruinas. Aquí habrá de todo. ¿Dónde estamos exactamente? Pero... no. Por aquí no es, pues. Pensaba que era fuera. No entiendo.
You ever watch Agent Khan? He's got this ship, right? The Invincible. And we got a ship, right? So I got to thinking, who would win in a race? The Invincible or the Unreliable?
Felix, you watch too many movies.
Yeah, Max said the same thing. Except he usually says it after giving me this long, disapproving stare. Adventure serials are my education. Where else am I supposed to learn how to kick a jackass in the chest? That's what being a pirate's all about, right?
Hate to tell you.
Have you had time to check on that poster yet? I keep wondering if it's come in. Sorry, I just get so excited, and I always feel like I miss everything that happens in town while I'm up here.
Ah, no, pues pensaba que le podía decir algo del póster, pero no. Me está costando encontrar la mierda esa, ¿eh?
I hear those rich people in Byzantium pay a handsome bid for Rap Musk.
That they also pay
Makes you more attractive.
We don't get many outsiders.
Algo se me escapa, tío, no sé lo que es. Código de acceso. Algo se me escapa y no sé lo que es. O sea, era eso. Es que están muy mal los indicadores, tío. Ponía 30 metros. O sea, me ponían aquí 11 metros. Estaba aquí. A ver, vamos a ver. Míralo. Está muy mal indicado. Reunión tengo que tener. Lleva el código de... Hola. No, no jodas. Ah, vale, tengo que ir hasta aquí. Vale. Vale, este sí. Y además esta chica está cerca.
I'd give you a friendlier welcome, but this again? I swear, this is the last time I contract for any special requests. You can tell Grimm his poster came in. You can also tell him I got a better offer for it. So now it's going to Nell. That about cover it? She runs the betting parlor across the way. Nice professional lady.
I never did catch her name. She seemed real friendly.
Nice hair, slightly oblivious. You must be the infamous Felix. Yeah, Nell's good people. You should catch a game with her sometime. She asked me about the poster once. Just once. Damn right it is. It's staying locked up in my office until Nell shows with her money. No. I paid Sublight for it. So, it's mine. And when Nell pays me for it, it'll be hers. Grimm may have asked for the poster, but it's not his until I take his money. Sure can. If you want to pay me more than Nell's offering. Sure. And once you finish helping me, then we can talk about the poster. Fine by me.
Vale. Vale. asuntos de familia. Esta es la mujer esta que el hijo se ha ido, ¿no? Vale, el hijo está relativamente cerca. Vale, vale. ¿Este cuál es? Este está aquí. Vale, vamos aquí. Vamos aquí. Vamos a hacer primero las misiones de dentro y luego salimos fuera a dar cañita. O a que nos la den porque no sé lo que habrá aquí en esta...
Laws. Can't a man enjoy the smooth menthol flavor of a Stogie Slim in peace? What I am doing, sir, is enjoying the moment. It's so rare that I can seize one apart from the jabbering masses of this Law's forgotten town. Cut off from the rest of the colony. Removed from any culture. I recall when Stellar Bay was a proper board-affiliated town with regular shipments of Auntie Cleo's best and all the cereals. Before Sanjar took over MSI and got us all booted. Days of consumption and culture. When we weren't squabbling with the iconoclasts for lack of better things to do. Look, you're making me melancholy. Is there something you wanted? In case I did not impress it upon you before, I'd like...
I wonder sometimes what they're doing on other colonies.
Watch your step if you...
Watch your step. Think they're watching the same serial, following the same tossball games?
¿En serio otra vez?
You're not listening to a word, are you?
Elija.
Look, my back aches and everything smells like fish. I just want to enjoy my beer.
Hey, Ellie. When was it that you realized the board was crushing the life out of this colony?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the board? The machine of oppression?
Who the fuck are you? This ain't your
why you became a pirate? Because you wanted to be free and all?
I'm just after a paycheck, kid.
A ver. ¿Dónde me estoy metiendo? Vale. Vamos a guardar, por si acaso salía la bronca. Me los tengo que cargar.
Hey, what are you doing here? This is our secret alley. Berta already pissed by those crates to market. Listen, that purple-toothed twerp had it coming. Not that anyone has proof.
Ahora sí, me lo acabo de
And
decir.
not that it's any of your business. I don't think so. You're a loose end now.
I'm about to jump on him.
That's what you get! Be careful!
Pero estos tíos... ¿De qué van? ¿En serio? ¿Estos tíos? Vaya pelo, tío. Me lo temía, pero no tan heavy. Voy a mataros. Venga, vámonos de aquí atrás. Buenas tardes. Vaya granujas.
A fine day for business, isn't it? Anyway, what can I do for you? But that's terrible. What happened? But that means we won't be able to log their testimonies. If there's one thing I've been hoping to re-establish in Stellar Bay, it's proper documentation for legal matters. Always a shame when tempers get the better of good sense. Still, your intervention in the matter is much appreciated. Please consider this payment for your services. Then it's good that I keep... What can I do for you?
Me pegan encima.
I just don't get how you could be so casual about your integrity, Ellie. The way I see it, you're either standing up to the board, or you're standing up for him.
I know nuance ain't exactly your strong suit, but it's not that simple. Grow a few hairs on your chest and you'll see.
I might not have your schooling, but at least I stand for something.
And you'll fall for anything. That's how the saying goes.
Vale. Vale, esta está hecha. Venga, vamos al apartamento de no sé quién. Que está aquí en la ciudad. Arriba.
So, guess who Celia brought home the other?
You again! You've really got to stop doing that! Jumpy? Who's Jumpy? I'm not Jumpy! Braxton. I've never even heard of a Braxton. Got nothing for you, sorry.
Dilated pupils, anxious posture, muscle spasms. She's high on some quality stuff.
No! Okay, maybe, just a little. Braxton always has a good stash, and I just like to let loose a little. Stop thinking about the marauders and the raptidons outside, you know? Oh, damn. He told me he was delivering to this house in the ruins south of town. Whole family had fallen sick, and he had some meds on hand. So maybe look for him there?
You wanna know what I think? This Braxton fella threw away the trappings of society and joined a pack of wild raptidons.
Vale, este está fuera. Bueno, está cerca, está relativamente cerca. Vale, vamos a ver si tenemos alguna más aquí en la ciudad. Vamos a ver si tenemos alguna más en la ciudad. 30. Está allá arriba. ¿Cómo que está allá arriba, tío? Joder, aquí me van a ver, ¿no?
I'll keep it down.
Aquí me van a ver de puta madre. Claro.
Their mistake.
Claro, se va a liar gorda. ¿Quién? A ver un momento. No sé qué hacer. A ver, lo voy a volver a intentar. Manual. A 17:33. Vale, aquí está todo bien, ¿no? Aquí no me ha visto nadie. Coño. ¿Qué ha pasado? No. No, esto no lo han visto. Solo le cojo los... Vale, ahora no me ha visto nadie. ¡Ay, que me caigo! ¡Ay, que me caigo! ¡Ay, que me caigo! Vale, ahora no me ha visto nadie. Estaban en un ángulo que yo me he puesto de... He saltado de pie y ya me han visto. Mira, estos ahora no me han visto. Ahora no me ha visto nadie. Le hemos robado los ahorros, ¿vale? En su casa. $70.
You ever get the feeling Max is trying to convert you?
I don't think I've ever listened close enough to tell.
I was in the mess the other night, kicking my boots up on the table. Just opened up my latest issue
A
of
ver si
Tales
puedo
from
subir
Beyond,
por aquí.
right?
Felix, I didn't know you read.
Hold on, it gets better. Max was there reading one of his dusty old scriptures, And he just gives me this look, like I'm a stray Canaan wandered into his church. And he says, son, do you know what...
Vale, ahora hay que hablar con él, ¿no?
you're doing with your life?
Vale, voy a guardar este. Este lo voy a dejar por si acaso. Aunque bueno, ahora no me han visto. Ahora no me han visto.
Pulling that giant toss ball stick out of your ass?
Good one, Ellie. I gotta use that line.
New face, huh? You from off-world? A ship captain? Well, I'll be. Here, let me buy you a drink. Consider it an MSI welcome. Why don't you grab a chair, sit a spell and revel with us? Me and my friends have taken our destiny into our own hands. We're untethered, free of responsibility and worldly cares. Well, as long as we don't run out of bits. But until the windfall's gone, we're riding high. See, we just walked out on our work. Had enough, we did. So now we're striking. It ain't any one thing but the sum of it all, having to work longer shifts for less bits. And the wages we do earn don't cover as much as they used to. Our supervisor Velma goes on and on about quarterly profits and meeting quotas. But that ain't what Sanjar promised us. Velma refuses to negotiate, so we're refusing to work. We won't go back until she agrees to pay us fair and proper. Us on Monarch. We're free from the board, you know? We have the right to lobby for better hours and pay. Sure thing. What did you want to discuss? If I knew that, I'd have tried it. Talking reasonably got me nowhere. Maybe you'll fare better. The others wanted to blackmail her, but we're above that. Besides, them are just rumors. We got no proof they're true. I would never endorse such an untoward tactic, you know, but, well, there's rumors that Velma's taking a cut off the profits. So far, it's just gossip, you know, but if there was any proof to be had, it'd be in the Saltuna warehouse, I reckon. Sure thing. What did you want to discuss? Nope. I'm calling her bluff. If she wants to threaten us, we'll see how she likes it when Sanjar finds out she gave Sublight even more dominion in Stellar Bay. I never meant to call for anyone's head on a pike. Velma's not my favorite person, but she ain't been cruel to us. Devil it all. Now you got me feeling sorry for her. Fine. I guess we'll go back to work to save Velma's job. We'll find a better time to negotiate our wages. Tell Velma not to worry. We'll look out for her.
Bien. Ha salido bien, ha salido
Why don't
bien.
you grab a chair, sit a spell and rep?
Espera un poco.
Why don't you grab it? Me and the others agreed to return without any increased pay, did we not? So I'm...
Sí.
Talk to Caleb. He speaks for all of us.
Caleb's doing the talking.
Vale, ha salido bien la treta, la mentira. Se engañaba como...
Hey, Ellie. Hey, Ellie, how's your head? Still spinning?
You're back. Good news? Bad news? All of the above?
Says someone who's never had any fun.
Exactly. See, I'm glad someone on your crew's got some sensible, got her head on straight. Whew, that hits the spot. Right in the, oh, no, there it is. There it is. Yes. We're in business. Let's go.
That was fast. I gotta see about stocking some on the ship.
You be careful. The first one's free. After that, they'll offer you gainful employment. Great. Where to? Oh, Hiram? I ain't checked in on that man in an age. He's running the giant radio tower we lovingly call Devil's Peak. We'll be going south and west, mostly along the road till we're past Fallbrook. Out there, there's a western slope that'll lead us through some fun. You like hunting, right? That's fun. If you're more of a spelunker, Rotting River will take you into the mountain caverns. We can discuss options when we get closer. That said, 3's already a crowd. I don't mind waiting somewhere until you got a spot open.
Mighty big gun you got there. I'm looking forward to seeing you use it.
So, Mioka, what's the ugliest thing you ever killed?
Oh, I still have nightmares
He
about
conseguido todos los
the
acompañantes.
fiercest, most foul creature I've ever faced. Just shy of 7 feet tall. Breath like a sulfur pool. A little slow.
Vale, vamos a ver.
Strong as a mountain.
Vamos a ver cómo está equipada. Ah, que tengo 3. Armadura 19, ¿dónde vas con eso, tío? Aunque yo no tengo mucho más, 26.
I recall his name was George.
A ver las armas que lleva. 141. Sí, sí, está muy bien. Sí. Vale, voy a guardar. Vale, vamos a ver. Vamos a seguir con las misiones aquí en el pueblo, ¿eh? Venga, vamos a informar esta, a ver si la hacemos ya de una santa vez. ¿Dónde estás? Que no te veo. Para allá. Vamos a informar de esto. A ver si hacemos todas las de la ciudad, tío.
I'd give you a friendlier welcome, but I'm up to my elbows in salt tuna guts.
We spat in your spirits, Velma.
You noticed my mood? I'm surprised you can see straight today.
I could be seeing triple and I'd still think you're being unkind. I just might find it funnier.
Will you try wrangling half a ton of dead fish with decades-old equipment and see what it does for your disposition? Anyway, what do you folks need? Sure can. If you want to pay me more than Nell's offering. Fine by me. Stealing's such a nasty word. Let's call it...
Coño, no me dice que hable con esta.
And yeah, let's just say I've noticed the sterile biotics we use for the fish would get used a little faster on Braxton shifts. We're not like those corporate towns where you get fined for sleeping on the wrong side of the bed. Besides, the Spacer's Choice stuff we use is cheap enough. And Braxton knows how to get the salt tuna, fat and mostly tumor-free. Something else on your mind? You knocked any sense into him yet? Sweetest words I've heard all day. Thanks for your help. You've gotten me out of a tight spot here. Take this for your efforts. Honest work deserves honest pay.
Vale, hecha. Bueno, hecha esa, pero tenemos más con ella, ¿eh? Vale, vamos a ver. Asuntos de familia, vistas peligrosas. Consigue la arma tecnológica de Estelar y Pineas. Vale. Este lo tengo que hacer con el vicario. Este estaba a tomar viento, ¿no? Sí. Este está cerca. Norte de Bahía Estelar. A ver, vamos a ver. ¿Qué es eso? 100 metros. Pues para estar en el norte estoy yendo al sur. Vale, en el norte, pero no sabe dónde, ¿no? Pero coño, el norte será este, ¿no? ¿Será aquí? Venga, vamos para allá. Vamos. No entiendo nada. Venga, salimos. Al exterior. Vale, es ahí, al norte. Estamos yendo al suroeste, pero bueno, me ha dicho al norte. Tendré que regalar una brújula.
Good old Stellar Bay. Only place on the planet that don't stink of sulfur. On account of it stinking like fish dead. We gotta go exploring.
Cuidado,
I wanna see some savages.
Puntos de talento disponibles. No jodas. Mira que bien. Vale, tengo 50. Pirateo me pedía 55, tío. Claro, tengo 50 realmente. 55. Tendría, si lo pongo, tendría 50. Esto subiría 50. Si me quito el traje, tendría 55. Y esto tengo 58. ¿40? Ahora es individual, ¿vale? Ahora es una putada. Antes subías los 3 por un punto. Ahora subes 3 puntos por los 3. O sea, ahora sale más caro. Sale el triple de caro. Ahora podría mirar... Bueno, luego miramos. Cuando volvamos... Hostia, lo que hay ahí. Vamos a empezar a limpiar, ¿no? Venga, está salido bien, así que lo guardo. Vamos a empezar a limpiar. Estos son bichos de esos. Cuidado, Tranquilos. Están alterados. Poco a poco. Venga, vamos a registrar. Vamos a empezar a coger cosas. ¿Esta nave? ¿Esto qué es? ¿Esta nave qué es, tío? ¿No es de nadie? A ver. Qué raro que no haya por aquí nada escondido. Hacer aquí el botellón, al lado de los bichos esos. Por aquí no hay nada, tío, ¿en serio? Está cerrado. ¿No había escalera por aquí? Que yo aquí no subo, tío. Vale, por aquí no salta. Vale, aquí habéis matado a los otros, ¿no? Por aquí. ¡Epa! Cuidado. Vale, preparaos, que vamos al ataque. ¿Dónde está? Coño, está, tío. Me he ido por el otro lado para sorprender y mira, no he llegado. Vale, vamos a ir limpiando poco a poco y... Y vamos bien. Poquito, suavecito. Cuidado aquí. No llevo un arma buena, tú. Espera, no me han dicho de subir por aquí. Ha visto aquí algo, pero no puedo subir. Ah, sí que hay escaleras, leches. Y decía yo que podías subir a algún lado. Hostia, no hay nada, en serio. Cabrones. No hay nada. Esta no hace daño, tío.
Are these real ruins? Huh. It's just like in the serials.
Don't bother knocking on any doors. If anyone's inside, they're liable to respond with gunfire.
Sellada. Cuidado.
That had to hurt.
Cuidado. Vale, vale, vale. Ojito, Muy bien, sobra. No hay ninguna casa abierta. Mira, esa puedo acceder. Ninguna casa a la que puedo acceder, tío. No quiero sorpresas. Pillo todo. Me dice que está cerrada, pero bueno, la puedo... En principio la puedo hackear, en principio.
Captain, let's talk.
¿Quién me ha dicho eso?
Hey, got a favor to ask you. Figure while we're out here in the wilderness anyhow, we might stop in on an old friend of mine. Preferably before we get to Hiram's. It's on the way, don't worry. You don't seem the type to run off and get yourself killed, and I could use the help. I'll be upfront with you. I hate asking for help. I hate it. Every time I give someone the opportunity to disappoint me, they seem to make it their most immediate goal. But this, what I'm thinking, it's dangerous. Nothing we can't handle. I used to run with a band of hunters. Friends. 6 of us. We were on Monarch when the corporations pulled out, and we helped a lot of people pick up the pieces. I haven't seen 2 of them in years, and the rest I know to be dead. I'd like to gather their effects and bury them all in the same places, like the family we once were. I saw it happen. Hell, one of them was in my arms at the time. His name was Hayes, and he's our first stop. I buried him a ways from our encampment. I'll show you where he rests. He had a medallion in his effects. That's what I'll bring home to Barry. A long time ago, we built an encampment in one of Monarch's cave systems. Trouble is, a Mantiqueen showed up and kicked us all out. If we can find Rebecca and Anders, they'll know how to lure her out. Then, we kill... Oh, yes. I can't wait. What's up? Let's see. South, along the road.
Ok. ¿Tú?
The intrepid crew of the unreliable, brave...
No cuento películas. Venga, vamos a traer la casa esta. Con mucho cuidado, ¿eh? Estos bichos aguantan bastante. Vale, vamos a ver. Por aquí no veo escalera ni acceso por detrás. Ni puertas. Ni escaleras hacia arriba. Ahí veo un muerto. Vale, voy a intentar desbloquear esta puerta. A ver si puedo. Cuidado, Vale, hay un terminal. Cuidadito, Vamos a hacerlo... Vamos a hacerlo bien. Poco a poco. Vale, hemos borrado la opcional. Vale. ¿Qué tenemos aquí? Esta está cerrada. Vale, hay que subir, Coño. Vale, aquí no veo a nadie. Joder, madre mía. Qué chollazo. Pirateo y el tema de persuasión a la gente y tal. Eso es súper importante en este juego. Intentar convencer a la gente, intimidar. Eso es súper importante. Y sobre todo pirateo de terminales y tal.
Hello? Hello? I hear boots out there. Wait, can rats wear boots? Oh, thank the Eternal. I'm Huxley. Hux if you're lazy. I'm stuck. My friends and I were scavenging here, and a Mantiqueen showed up. Then Raptidons. It was a void-blasted mess. I ran in here, and, now the door's locked. Little help? It's easier than it sounds, alright? Next time you get chased by Raptidons, you let me know the rationality of your decisions. Phew. Thanks, mister. My buddy had a key, but I ain't heard him in a while. He locked me in here and took off. Probably got munched. So look for a dead guy, I guess. Or a rat. Maybe it's in a rat belly. What do you mean? It's locked. Wait, upward? Oh, my eternal soul, it worked!
Phew. Thank
No me
you
lo puedo
so
creer.
much. It was getting all stuffy in there, and I was getting a mite lightheaded, and I think maybe I was gonna die. Now I'm out here, and I'm headed back to Amber Heights. Still landing yourself in trouble, eh, Hux? Oh, hi, Nyoka. You want to give me an escort back home? Oh, you're traveling with someone. Never mind.
got nothing on me. How's about a heaping helping of appreciation and respect? That's true. Okay, fine. Here. Oh, sure, I'm a runner. I'm used to getting all dizzy and... Hey, who's your identical, slightly blurry friend? Thanks a lot, mister.
Vaya tela. El rayo. Vaya tela. Ahora vamos, chavales. Su compañero, mira, su compañero fue por aquí. ¿Sabes? Hostia, lo que hay ahí. Hostia, hostia, hostia. Vale. Menudo bicharraco. Hay una casa o algo así, ¿no? A ver, vamos a ver quién era el que había muerto por aquí. Este es. Vale, vamos a ver. Estamos aquí, tiene que ser algo que esté cerca. Y vamos a ir haciendo cosas que estén cerca. Esto es la nave. Vale, el chico está aquí. Mira ahí. Vamos para allá. ¿Cuál es? Que no me he hecho olvidar. Registra la casa. Vuelve Braxton. Ah, el de... Vale. el que ha desaparecido de su puesto de trabajo, vaya. Blackstone. Mucho cuidadito. Estos son naves, tío. ¿En serio? Vale. Vamos a ver un momento el tema de las armas porque no me convence a mí. Voy a probar esta a ver qué tal. No, esto es un lanzagranadas, un lanzagranadas también. Smith. No, eso no es. Lanzaplasma. Lanzallamas. Uf, no me interesa. Lanzaplasma. Pero este es más callero. Ah, no, es igual. Es igual. $74 por 3, cuidado. Cuidado. Cuidado con este, Hostia, qué guapa está esta arma. Oye, le he intentado dar a esta y no he podido. Y le he dado una por aquí, yo creo. Esta arma para los bichos estos viene muy bien. Esta es de plasma. Eléctrica para los robots. Para los robots. Vale, venga, vamos a entrar a la casa. Igual no reciben a balazos, Estos tienen habilidades, no se las tiro. Tienen habilidades. Coño, qué casa, ¿no? Esto me la liarán.
A visitor? What an unexpected surprise! Please, come in. Come in.
I'm getting real bad fight or flight right now. Watch your step. People ain't this friendly outside city walls.
We're armed to the teeth. What's he gonna do? Kill us with generosity?
That's the spirit. Now come in. Make yourselves comfortable. I'm afraid we don't get many visitors out here. The Raptidons and Marauders scare off all but the boldest. And if you've braved them, you must be exhausted. I'm sure I would remember something like that. Now, quit fretting yourself about that. Make yourself at home. Dinner's almost ready.
Something ain't right about this.
Sí.
You must be famished. So are we, my friend, but one can't rush a fine meal.
¿Estos son caníbales o algo?
Is it sticking again? I'm afraid nothing out here works the way it used to. There's a bit of a trick to jimmying it open. I'll see to it once we've finished dinner. please, there's no need for incivility. Though I certainly understand how hunger sharpens the temper. I promise I'll get the door open once we've had our meal. Until then, why don't you stretch your legs a bit? A nice walk.
Oh, hello there. You come from... Sorry, I'm not real good with, names. It just gets hard to remember things. I recall moments, feelings, but the details slip. Other times, it's like there's fog. That's nice of you. I usually feel better after I eat. Mama said dinner's almost ready, huh?
Esto no me pinta
You must
bien.
be famished. So are we, my friend, but one can't.
What a pleasant surprise. And just when I was beginning to fear we'd seen the last of good company for a spell. Yet the Eternal provides, does it not? And who could? Stretch out your hand and cosmic divinity reaches back. Open wide your mouth and the universe. That they do. Though it's up to us to make the most of those opportunities, wouldn't you say? Look at me, prattling on as if this gravy is going to cook itself. Why don't you run along until we are ready for dinner? I hope you favor ketchup and woolly cheddar. We have to make do with what we can.
No me pinta nada bien esto.
Hey, what are you doing in my room? Liar! You're trying to steal the last of my rocket candies, aren't you? The ones that come in a bottle with a rocket ship on it. Like the other man used to bring. I'm not telling you.
Caramelos cohete, tío. Caramelos cohete. No he visto los caramelos cohete por ningún lado.
Space, there's choice pills that cure all your ills.
¿Qué está pasando aquí? Está pasando algo raro. No, no voy a forzar nada de momento. Aquí va a pasar algo, ya lo vais a ver.
Space, there's choice pills that cure all your ills.
Aquí tiene algún bicho o algo. No. No lo veo yo esto, claro. Nos han encerrado,
You must be famished. So are we, my friend, but I'm sure I would remember something like that. Now, please.
Nice to meet you. Wait, did I
I
already
hope
say
you
that?
favor ketchup and woolly cheddar. We have to make do with what we can find.
No, 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 no. A ver, a ver, a ver, a ver, a ver, a ver.
Spacer's choice pills, they cure all your ills.
¿Qué está pasando aquí?
Sulfur-sodden assholes. Ain't enough that the rats eat everyone? Now people are doing it too?
I am so glad I skipped lunch.
Vale. ¿Quieres el Braxton? Sí, Braxton. Míralo. Sí, no, me lo temía. A ver. Estos son caníbales, es lo primero que he dicho. Ya no está aquí la niña. Cuidado, ¿eh?
But what's this? You're tracking blood into the kitchen. Oh dear. You've been nosy, haven't you?
Quickly, my dear. He's getting agitated. We can't let the meat spoil.
Don't worry. We'll make this quick.
Hostia. Qué dura está, ¿eh? La revienta, ¿eh? Joder, le dispara a mi compañera, coño. Qué cabrita, qué duro estaba, ¿eh? Cómo no la han jugado, ¿eh? No me la han jugado. Voy a robar todo por cabrones. Toma por culo. Caníbales, tío. Ahora, venga, vámonos de aquí. Como no como no hay forma de salir a conseguir comida, lo que hacen es cada vez que viene alguien de visita se lo comen. La única manera de llevarse algo a la boca, ¿sabes? Cabritos. No la quería jugar, ¿eh? El caso es que si uno se le pudre, imagínate... Imagínate 4. Vale, vamos a por el niño, ¿no? No. ¿Cuál era? ¿Cuál era el de la madre? ¿El de la madre? Este. Vamos aquí. Como no podía salir de casa, pues esperaba a que la comida llegaría, ¿sabes?
Careful. Only things you'll find in the ruins are liable to shoot you or eat you. Or both.
Exploring some ruins, killing some monsters. All we're missing is theme music.
Cuidado, joder, no se ve, hostias. Vamos a pegar otro repasito porque es que no se ve nada, tío. Ya está todo. Vámonos de aquí, que no se ve nada. He visto por aquí un par de bichos. Un par de enemigos. Vale, vamos a coger distancia. Yo el salto la rana, ¿eh? Esto era un cacho pueblo de la hostia. Lo que pasa, pues eso, que no tiene murallas. Entonces aquí entra todo el que quiere hasta la cocina. Vale, cuidado, que hay un coloso. Vale. Está todo abierto, ¿eh? Vale, yo me he quedado antes por aquí, ¿verdad? Me he metido por detrás. Ahora vamos a ir por delante. Esto parece una iglesia. Eso qué incómodo, ¿no? Tienes que ir andando y te tienes que tropezar con la bola esa. Vale. No veo aquí mucho más. Vámonos de aquí. Vamos a entrar por aquí y luego vamos a subir arriba. El primero que abro de estos. Pensé que no lo iba a abrir. Pensé que era más difícil. ¿Dificultad 3 tiene esto? ¿Tiene esta aquí esto ladrón? No, no sé qué dificultad tendrá. Vale, vamos para allá. Pensaba que era... Estelar Bahía. Ah, he dicho que iba a subir por arriba. Si hay algo por ahí escondido. Vale, genial. Buen juego y un montonazo de cosas. Vale. Vale, vamos a ver un poco el mapa. Tengo que ir a la derecha. Tengo que ir para allá. Cascadia, Farbrook, Amber, Estelar Bay. Vamos por aquí. Que ahora tenemos las 3.
Just getting started.
Cuidado, ¿eh? ¿Qué es esto?
Like a raft among the rocks.
No, no hay nada. Pensaba que era algún tipo de escondrijo. Hostia, esto llevar unos láseres que te cagas, tío. ¿Qué coño de láser lleva esta gente, tío? Lleva como un láser. ¿Vamos a por ellos? Voy a guardar, que llevamos avanzado un rato. ¿Ese humo verde? Por aquí habríamos venido los otros, ¿no? Sí. Muy bien. Aquí hay una casa. Bueno, ya la veremos.
Watch your feet. The sulfur pools don't just stink. I'll take a toe off.
Vamos a ir por el camino. Así lo limpiamos. No lo veo, ¿eh? ¡Joder! Pensé que se entretendrían allá con ellos. Y digo, le voy tirando unas granadas. Pero me ha atacado directamente a mí. ¿Y este? Pistola plasmizadora. Uf, aquí han caído muchos, tú. Voy a tope ya, ¿no? Vale. Esta es como la que llevo yo. No, pero hace bastante... Hostia, de nivel 20. Esta hace bastante más daño. 74 por 3. Ah, pero la que tengo puesta. Sí, es la que tengo puesta. Vale. Me haría falta una escopeta. Hostia. 123 de daño, tú. A ver. Escopeta. ¿Cuál es mejor, esta o esta? 238. No sé cuál poner. Venga. Es que necesito algo cuando me atacan de frente, tío. Que lo hacen mucho, estos cabritos. Se te echan encima enseguida. Nada, por el camino. Prefiero limpiar el camino, tío. Pobre diablo este. Camino siempre nos encontramos a alguien. Joder, no lo ha podido ni probar. Todavía no he visto ninguna mantis de esas. Tampoco quiero verla. ¿Por qué hay pájaros de estos muertos? Por el agua este. Por el ácido. Mira otro. ¿Te has quemado? Joder. No puedo subir. ¿Qué? ¿Estáis los dos bien o qué? ¿Cómo estáis? Vaya chillos que he pegado, yo no sé qué le ha pasado. ¿Se habrá quemado el pie? Cálido alfa. ¡Tú! ¡Pichito! Vale, vamos a ver. Vale, esa cueva me pica la curiosidad. A ver si puedo vender. Nah, no me compra. No me da un buen precio. ¿Qué peso llevo? 240. Tampoco estoy muy por elegir, ¿eh? Voy a vender la basura, tío. Vale, vamos a ver. ¿Qué tenemos por aquí? Ahí hay una puerta, ahí hay una subida, no sé dónde. Oye, ¿nos mandaban aquí? No. Venga, vamos a entrar aquí. ¿Qué ha pasado aquí, tío? Ahora, vámonos de aquí. Que no hay más. Esto estará sellado, lógicamente. Sí. Vale, nos dice que vayamos para allá. Voy a ir aquí, Voy a ir a ver lo que hay ahí arriba, Vamos a ir por aquí. Venga, voy a ir guardando. Que nos saldrá un bicho de esos y lo reventará. Cromo de no sé qué. Buenos pepinazos hay ahí, Algo explotado muy fuerte. Almacén. No veo nada vivo. Me gusta mucho lo que veo, ¿eh? No me da ninguna seguridad.
Damn, got some nimble fingers, Captain.
Yeah, boss?
What's up? What's with the pleasantries? You want to know something? I didn't. I was born into security detail, and when the corporations abandoned this place, that's all I know. Besides, what's up? I took a job once to clear out a rap nest. Partnered up with a fellow out of Fallbrook who called himself Dirty Don. Bit on the shorter side. Had a penchant for cards. Thing is, he introduces himself and the man is immaculate. Clean. He had a flowery presence to him. A pleasantness that didn't invade your space. He was just there. When we set out to hunt down the Raptidons, I found out firsthand where his nickname came from. Dirty Don killed those Raptidons with his bare hands. His bare fucking hands, Captain. He was a whirlwind of grotesque primal fury. In the end, he stood drenched. Yeah, I never seen anything like it. Day came when he tried to take on a mana queen. Got himself eaten one limb at a time. Wonder if he tasted like soap. Oh well, live and learn. No matter how tough you are, if you're gonna fight something bigger than you, bring a firearm.
Pavo lleno otra vez. Vale, muy bien. ¿Qué arsenal llevo aquí, chaval? Venga, todo 100%. Traje y armas. Vamos a abrir esta puerta. Cerrado con llave. Pensé que podía entrar, ¿eh? Cerrado con llave. ¿Estará la llave por aquí? No, no. No creo que esté la llave por aquí. Nada, vámonos. Aquí. Estamos aquí, vamos aquí. Y de ahí ya salimos para otro lado. Pero vamos a seguir el camino. Cuidado. Le he reventado las granaditas, en la cara. Me ha parecido ver un cofre. Sí. Dos muertos. Eso me ha parecido ver. Vale, vamos para allá. Estamos a 60 metros de Trucker. Vale, ahí hay una puerta. Acá hay un bloqueo. Voy a ver. Bueno, voy a guardar ya que estoy aquí. A ver un momento. Vale. Voy a ver si hay alguien aquí.
South here, off the road and down this slope. We've got a decent trek ahead of us.
No veo a nadie. Mira, el avante soldado. Vamos a por ella a ver si lo revienta. Vale, es dura, ¿eh? Venga, que la tenemos. Está muerta la reina. Glándula, caparazón, reloj, cuchilla. ¿Solo? No jodas. Me ha salido cara matarla. Y había un soldado. Había otro gusano por aquí. Que lo he hecho polvo. Había por aquí un... Vamos. ¿Dónde está el...? No, este no es. Te va a comer.
This is new. Where the edges are burned, I guess people did this, not the wild.
Te va a comer, date la vuelta. ¿Qué pasa por aquí? ¿Cómo puedo pasar yo ya? ¿Podré subir por allá? Aquí ya la voy a reventar, ¿eh? Hoy no, hoy seguramente no, porque no vamos a llegar hasta allá. Pero... ¡Hostia!
Yeah, boss?
Me las he comido las dos, ¿Qué esconder aquí que tienen tan guardado, tío? Por aquí también escondido, tío. Que hay miras y la hostia. A ver, cuidado. Laboratorio. Vale, ya vendremos aquí. Lo que quiero hacer ahora es... lo de encontrar al chico ese. ¿Qué hay por aquí? Caída. Pues me he comido todas las granadas, tío. Todas. A ver si viene. A ver si tenía huevos a venir. Estoy aquí. Espera, ¿dónde vais, locos? ¿Dónde van estos locos? Espera, espera. A ver si bajan. Este cojones a venir. Tienen huevos a venir. Ventajas. Qué pena, tío, que me quedaba uno. Aplicar a tomar por culo. Sí. ¿Pero vas a venir o no? Cobarde. Toma el melón. Cuidado, Claro que se envía. Joder, he visto salir de escondida de ahí detrás. Sí. Pobrecillo, siempre le disparo. Yo creo que no le hago daño, no yo, ¿no? Por la cuenta de detrás. Quiero subir a por la manta raya esa. O sea, por la manta reina. Por la... ¿cómo se llame? Está por aquí, ¿eh? Está aquí, ¿eh? Cuidado, venga, que ya está. ¿Te creías que ibas, campeón? A ver, ¿qué? ¿Qué? Ah, Batiavispa. Ah, la batirreina es esta. Joder, va a durar menos que la otra. Estar más Dios. Dios. Ah, bueno, aquí había un tío, ¿no? Espera, que aquí había un tío. Vamos a hablar con él. Si no ha muerto en el intento. Hombre, chavalote. ¿Cómo te va? ¿Qué tal lleva la tarde, tío?
Well now, here I thought those mantisaurs had peacefully exited the premises. But you're a simpler explanation. Thanks for the assistance. Name's Weston. Every once in a while I set up shop along these here roads. You find yourself in need of resupply, you come on by.
Claro que sí, compañero.
Here to purchase a thing or two?
Sí, te va a vender toda la basura que tenga. Hostia. Venga, toda la puñetera basura que tengo. Vale, venga, vamos a empezar a vender basura. Salud. 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 Armadura. Salud. 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 Vale, ya está. Madre mía, qué de mierda. 38, sobrado. Este 9, no jodas. Bueno. Espera, esto me interesa más desmontar. Por el tema de piezas de armadura y piezas de armas. Cuidado, que tengo unas armaduras que te cagas. Que te cagas. Madre mía. ¿Qué me estás contando, tío? Qué guapo, ¿no? Cuerpo a cuerpo, una mano, me da igual. Venga, vamos a quitar la mierda. Espera un poco, ¿este cuánto es? 38, 30. Perfecto. Perfecto. Vale, genial. Por aquí ya vendremos, ¿vale? Cuando nos toque. Vamos ahí a la encrucijada esa. Y bueno, son las 4, lo voy a dejar. Vale. A las 6 jugaremos al Farming Simulator. Tucker. Aquí está Tucker, ¿vale? Cuidado, aquí hay un campamento. Como no me dice robar, pues para la saca. Coger, coger. 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 Vale, munición, voy hasta arriba. Voy a entrar. Si veo tranquilidad. Bueno, nada, nada.
Well, hello, and welcome to the home of the iconoclasts. I'm Rose. Please take a pamphlet. In it, you'll find everything you need to know about Graham, his philosophist truths, and the iconoclast way. He wrote it himself, you know. Oh no, I'm so sorry. I keep forgetting. We're out of pamphlets. Gosh, blast it. Why, we're the only free people in Halcyon. No corporations, no shackles, no problems. Oh, those are just hurdles. We deal with them as they come. You're welcome to stay with us, so long as you can earn your keep. That's a nice way to think about it. Graham would be our father. I suppose Zora might make a good mother if the two of them could stop arguing. You can think of those two as our leaders, but they're more like examples. We all ought to be more like them. Why, he's our founder. Graham taught us about philosophism. Through him, we came to the eternal truth. I'm glad you're asking, by the way. I hope you'll consider staying. She's been with us since the beginning. I think she was our sawbones back then, but now she's more like our commander. She goes and finds people in the wilderness and gets them to come here. And she keeps us from being chewed on and whatnot. She's liable to take your head off if you screw up, but then she'll... Graham's place is in the large building straight back. Zora's sometimes there talking with him, but usually she's in the triage clinic next door. Oh, Graham settled here a long time ago. Shoot, I wish I had a pamphlet to give you. It's all in there. I wasn't around back then, but they say a lot of the old MSI corporate folks died here. He calls it a spiritual metaphor, something about rising from the ashes. The new boy! Yes, he's quite clever. He took to our teachings very quickly. Last I saw him, he was headed into one of the buildings up the hill.
Vale. Bueno, pues genial, pues lo vamos a dejar aquí, ¿eh? Ya investigaremos lo de Tucker. No sé qué, Tucker me parece que se llamaba. Y continuaremos desde aquí en el próximo. Un saludo y adiós.